In this video, we're going to talk about setting up your workspace. I'm Daniel Norton, photographer here in New York. I make videos like this one about philosophy, about technique, about gear. If you're interested in those kind of things, go ahead and subscribe. So about a year ago, I made a video where I kind of was installing this light, if you might remember. I did my little Bob Vila there and, assembled this thing and put it up because, a year ago, right? But people were working more from home. I really wanted to set myself up more. I was doing more streaming. We can see here I have a camera set up for streaming. And this has become the new normal for me. So even though things are opening up a bit here in the US, I'm still kind of improving and working on my office space. So one thing I really wanted to work on was my desk, and coincidentally, the people from Flexispot reached out about a standing desk. Now, I had heard about standing desks from my brother a few years back, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool if you're at a desk all day, but I'm not at a desk all day. Well, fast forward to 2020, I'm at a desk all day. So they sent me a desk. Full disclosure, this is not a sponsor video, but they did send it to me for free. So, and I have not used it yet, clearly. And I'm going to set it up in this video, and we're going to see how it works for me. So the reasons why I thought it would be a good idea for me was, number one, the standing desk is nice, so you can kind of move around and stuff, but also because it's larger. So this desk I have now is actually an old table. It's an old kitchen table from like the 1920s. I got it at an antique store. I painted it white. I was just using a laptop at the time, so it was super easy. But since then, I've added drobos, I've added a larger monitor. I want to add another monitor. I actually have my laptop over here on, you can probably barely see it there, on a tether tools table with an arm so I can have a space for it. So yeah, it's gotten tight in here. So my plan is to disassemble this whole setup and set up the standing desk and see how it works for me. Now, if you're not familiar with the standing desk, essentially, should be pretty common sense, right? You stand, but this one raises and lowers with the kind of a motor in it, right? So I'm going to be able to sit if I'm doing, like say, a live stream and I want to stay in one spot or whatever, and I can stand sometimes. So I can periodically get up and down, and we're going to see how that works out. I did also invest in a chair a while back, but I didn't think a chair was a very interesting video. So anyways, but before I do that, because I think that's cool and interesting, I kind of want to go over my setup because people ask me all the time about my setup here. So I'm going to briefly kind of go over how I have my stuff set up and how I work. And, if you have other questions about that kind of stuff, let me know in the comments below. So I use a MacBook Pro as my main computer. I also have a MacBook Air as kind of my secondary, but I use a wireless keyboard and mouse from Apple. That's pretty standard stuff. I have this guy over here called Stream Deck. This is great if you're streaming. You can use it for a lot of things. People use it for Photoshop and stuff like that. It's great for streaming. So if you've ever seen, like when I would do my Twitch streams and stuff and you see me switching between screens, or I also do gaming streams, I use that for that, but I would not really buy it if you just do Photoshop. Personally, sorry Stream Deck, but I just don't see the point. I use a Nikon, this is actually a Z6 II as my streaming camera, and that might seem like overkill. But the reason why I do that is because I have a studio, if you're familiar with my work, and I leave most of my gear there. This allows me to have a camera at home that's not just sitting in a bag, right? So I just use this as my camera, I get good quality, and then if I need to go shoot pictures, I can do that. I used to use my Z6 here, but the Z6 II is great because if I leave it plugged into USB, I can charge the battery and power the camera. So really nice. So that's my streaming camera. I do use a mic up here. Right now I'm using a lav, but I don't like to worry about batteries when I'm streaming, which again, that's USB. So I have this mic here. It's on a boom arm, and it gives me, good sound, and I don't have to worry about that, as I go. Behind the monitor, I've actually got two drobos, which are essentially RAID systems, and those RAIDs are where I store my data long term. I also have a G-RAID Thunderbolt. Those are USB 3. I have a Thunderbolt G-RAID, which I've got set up as a RAID 0, I think it is, RAID 1. Somebody knows about RAIDs will tell you. I have it set up so that it's two hard drives and it's backing up constantly. So what I generally do is when I come back from a shoot, I leave, images on my backup drives that I have, obviously, at the studio. But then when I come here, I copy things to this. So it's essentially already backed up, right? It's on two drives. This is tremendously fast because it's Thunderbolt. And I do my editing there, my video editing, my photo editing. And once I'm done with something, then I move it to my Drobo for long-term storage because it's a little slower, to access the Drobo because it's USB 3 versus Thunderbolt. So that's kind of my general setup. My plan is to add a second monitor, which I may or may not do in this video. I'm trying to order one now. So if it comes before I finish the video, I will do it. Otherwise, maybe I'll just do a social post about it. But I'm going to add another monitor. It's been a little tricky for me, I must say, because I have this Apple monitor right here, which is the Apple Thunderbolt monitor, which is kind of old, but it is a great monitor. But the problem is that it's got USB 2 in the back, so it's less than ideal for some stuff. So I'm going to add another monitor and probably some kind of docking station for Thunderbolt so I can get stuff going a little faster, because I do find it a little frustrating to have the slower speeds when you're copying large files, especially when you're doing video editing. So, oh, and I guess, which we will get into, I have a Felix light up here in a little softbox with the grid. So I also have another light that's actually bouncing off the wall in the space that lights the space up, which is what's lighting me right now, besides the windows. And I think I'm going to switch my lighting as well, because this is mounted to the wall, which means if the desk goes up and down, I'm going to have a problem. So my plan is to use light tubes from Nanlite. I got myself some small ones. Unfortunately, the 2-foot one that I wanted was not available right now, so that's probably what I'm going to end up with. But I've got 2 smaller ones that I'm going to link together, and we're going to set that up, I think, we'll see, hopefully I'll do this video, as my light source. And the reason why I'm going to use the tubes is because they're super lightweight, so I'm going to mount them to the desk, right? So that when the desk goes up and down, my lights will also go up and down, as will my microphone and my camera. So I can basically fully work, because if your desk is going to move, you can't have anything mounted to the wall, right? So that's going to be a challenge, and yeah, we'll take this whole thing apart, we'll set up the other desk, and we'll see what it's like. Okay, I don't think that the full table will easily fit through my door assembled, but I'm going to assemble the legs out here where I have more space. And then I'll put the tabletop on inside, and I'm sure you don't want to watch that for 20 minutes, so let's just cut to me being done. Okay, so mid-setup, or almost done setup, update just on the cell phone, so I apologize for the audio. So it didn't go quite as easily as I thought. I mean, it's actually, the directions are pretty good, but there's a couple of small issues that I found when setting it up. I just want to kind of go over those, and then we're going to get everything going, because it's up in the air and I'm leaning on it now. Okay, so this is like the power box or distribution box, and the directions show that you're supposed to screw it into the bottom, but on my tabletop, there is no screws for it. So I'm just going to bust out my drill and do that, but obviously I shouldn't have to. The other option, what I was thinking of doing, was maybe just strapping it to the leg. The other problem is, you can see here, it's kind of covered, but this little bar in the middle, this stretches out depending on the size of the table that you want to have, but there's no markings on it really. And this metal thing in the middle, which is like the axle, needs to be installed before you put the tabletop on, but you can't really know how far to stretch it until you put the tabletop on. So I literally had to put the tabletop on, then take it off again so I knew the right length. So that was a little bit of a pain. But except for those 2 things, it went really well. Okay, so here I am at my standing desk. And what's really cool about this is that it's got a little timer in it, so it kind of tells you, hey, you've been sitting down too long, so you can kind of rotate back and forth. And because the way I have everything set up, I can actually switch. I'm on OBS here, so I can actually stream from here. Now, I set this at this height here, I think comfortable for my arms. It might be a little bit low for the camera here. I'm going to have to mess around with this a little bit, but that's just the nature of it, right? We're going to basically play around with this to get it where we want. But when it comes down to it, if I want to sit, I've programmed in a height here, which is position 1. And when I press this, that's going to basically drop, right? The desk is dropping down. Of course, the camera's going with it. And from there, we can basically, come in, like let's say I want to do a Zoom meeting and I want to be sitting for that. I just grab my desk, my chair, swing around, and I'm basically good to go. Easy as that. Now, if I want, right, I can switch anywhere in between. There's 3 different places where you can kind of set your height adjustments. Maybe, I don't know what you want the 3rd one for, but maybe different people using it. And obviously you can do it manually as you feel. So I am going to add more to this setup. So let me just quickly kind of go over what I have here. So basically what I've got, again, is a larger desk surface than I had before. This is the 4-foot one. There's a lot of different sizes, so you can get whatever's going to fit into your space, I guess. And there's a few different versions of like the controller. This is like the most basic one, I believe. This holds a little over 100 pounds. By the way, I'll put all the specs. I'm not going to put the specs. I'll put a link to the website. You guys can check it out if you're interested in this kind of stuff. But what you want to do is look for one that fits your space. And I think the idea of a standing desk is really good. The idea that we can get up and get down, especially when you're editing all the time. Video editing, photo editing, you're constantly on the computer. It gives you that opportunity to, because of course I always tell myself, oh, you got to get up for a few minutes every 10, 15 minutes, whatever, get up to stretch your whatever. This just allows you to do it and still work, right? So let me just quickly go over the setup again. It's more or less what I had before. I've got my camera here. This is the Nikon Z6 II. It is powered by USB. I have a cam link. I don't think I said that before. Cam link 4K, which actually comes across to over here and puts in the signal to OBS, which is what I'm using right now, or whatever else I want to use. For audio, I'm using a Zoom recorder as kind of an interface because I'm using a XLR mic here. I'm not using it right now. I'm using it as a lav, but when I'm doing this kind of stuff. I have a Stream Deck here, so when I'm streaming, I can basically, switch between scenes and stuff in OBS if I want to do that. And then I've got basically my hard drives all in the back, the ones I talked about before. Everything I had from before I moved here. A couple things I'm going to do. One is I need to organize the cords better. What I didn't even think about was the desk goes up and down, right? So you got to leave a lot more cord so it can have room to move, which means it's a little bit messy back there for me. I'm going to kind of straighten out my cords, figure that out, but that's something that's easy enough to do. And as I mentioned, I'm probably going to get another monitor. So it should fit here pretty easily, but I'll have to readjust the desk. This can hold the weight for it, so it should not be a problem. And the thing about the light is I changed my light to, right now I'm just using this one nan light, a 10-incher, which is I'm gonna switch to a long one, I think. But let me just show you. I'm gonna turn off all the lights in the space so you guys can see. Okay, so this is just with the one nan light. I mean, obviously I have the purple lights that are in the background. That's not affecting me. This is just the one tube. If I put two here, which I had originally done, I get a little more fill on kind of my shadow side. I guess, backwards. But I don't know. I like the little drama. So this is good. If I want the room lit up more, I can turn on that other light that I had over there. But I think I am going to switch to a 2-foot tube. And I think that they make some kind of grid thing. I need to look into that. Maybe I'll talk about that when the time comes. To control the spread, because I kind of don't like that I'm getting a little bit of shadow on this wall. But, I mean, again, it's not the end of the world. The NAND light is running off USB-C power. So I don't have to worry about that. And I'm only at about, I think, 20 or 30% to get the exposure that I want. So this is a pretty good setup. And again, because it's small and magnetic, I actually have the little 2 pieces of metal that come with it. I have them gaffer taped to the back of my monitor. And the NAND light's basically just stuck to it magnetically. So it's very lightweight, which is what I wanted. Works out really well. For me, for this, I think, again, I'm probably going to switch to a 2-foot tube. I did try to use a long arm and get my softbox up, because when I first put this up, I thought it was a little harder than I like. It is a little bit harder than I like, but it was just too awkward to have a big old softbox. So I think this is fine for now. A little hard light on me never hurt. Hard light isn't too bad usually, when you're a rugged guy like I am. But anyways, you get the idea. So nice and simple. Right now, again, I'm using my laptop, my MacBook Pro, as my second monitor, and I'm using my my Thunderbolt monitor as my main monitor. I have everything plugged in via Thunderbolt to USB 3, so I can do all my editing, whatever I need to do, any streaming I want to do, very simply and easily with this setup. So yeah, Flexispot, it seems like a good product. This is pressed wood. I think they have other ones that are bamboo, like nicer ones. This is a pretty simple tabletop. I don't think it'll last forever, but I will say that the legs themselves are kind of universal, I guess. So I guess that's pretty good. I mean, honestly, I don't buy desks that often, so I don't really have anything to compare it against, but it seems like a pretty sturdy product so far. Okay, we're in the future. So I had done a closer where I was like, oh, I'm going to reach out to them and see if they can get you a discount, and I did that, and they got back to me super fast, so I decided to just re-edit the ending here. And I just want to also give a little bit of feedback after actually using it for a couple of days. Part of my thought here was that, oh, let's get initial impressions, but now it's about 4 days after I did that initially, and I've been using the desk every day. It's great. I really like the idea that it yells at me and tells me to get up. That's super important. And also, I said that I didn't know why you'd want 3 settings, and I discovered for me why. So I've got setting number 1, which is, I should be able to do this. Right, this is actually the setting I'm going to leave it on when I'm working with the chair, right? My chair is here. This is my normal kind of work desk place to leave it. And it'll sit in that position whenever I'm sitting down working with my chair, and also for most streams. Have the camera set up where it works really well. I'm not going to shoot through the camera right now because you'll be looking at my legs, where it works really well here. But then when I'm just working on the computer, position number 2, which is where I had it a second ago, this is the one that it's kind of comfortable for my arms, and I can work on the screen, and it's really comfortable to stand and work. But what I found was, I guess because you sit differently than you stand, as far as like you're slouching and stuff, that the camera in OBS for this is kind of low. As you can see, I mean, I like to cut off the top of my head, but It's a bit low. So I set up a third position that's just a little higher. So if I want to stream while I'm standing, like if I just want to talk and stream like this, I can still use the computer. It's not like terrible, but I wouldn't want to sit for hours like this. So there's 3 positions for you, right? I've got my sitting position, my standing position, and then my like standing while streaming position. And then it works out really well. As I said, this is kind of like a pressed wood top. There's multiple other tops you could get. There's different sizes. There's all different variety here. And they gave me a discount coupon code. I'll put it in the description if you guys are interested in getting this this product or any of these products from Flexispot. Go ahead and check them out. If you want to see me do more videos like this that are about product, I just did the other one recently and I'm doing this one now because people do ask me about this, and it wasn't something I did a lot on the channel, but if you guys are interested in seeing more stuff like this, let me know what kind of stuff you want to see. Do you want to see office stuff and tech stuff for editing? Do you want to see lighting or grip or lenses? I mean, I get asked about a lot of stuff, so maybe we'll start to incorporate that into the channel a bit if you guys are interested in those things. Either way, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.